So first of all, City of Tiny Lights. I've seen it described as sort of Raymond Chandler of the 21st century in London. Is it that kind of vibe?
Yeah, it's like one of those classic private eye, private detective movies, you know, that we might have seen back in the day. LA Confidential, Chinatown, Long Good Friday, and it's updated to right here, right now. So I think it's an interesting combination of that classic, familiar, you know, detective movie with the voiceover, and you know, a lot of it's shot at night, trying to solve a case about a missing girl. But there's a lot about it that's quite fresh. It's, you know, just set in London today with what people in London today look like and sound like and talk like. So yeah, it's a kind of interesting combination.
What drew you to the role of Tommy Actor?
I just loved the idea of like chain smoking and drinking fake whiskey all day, stood under rain machines filming at night for 6 weeks. You know, I thought that's a good way to catch a really bad fever, and I should do it. So I did, and I got really sick. Thanks, Pete Travis, for making me do that. Thanks a lot.
Was it real rain, like all of that?
It was all rain machines. The thing is, he was like, they thought, you know what, it'll be raining. It's London, it's going to be raining. It's like, you know, English summer. And it was a beautiful summer. So we were literally spending all our money on making it rain the whole time. It hardly ever rained. So yeah, chain smoking soggy cigarettes. That was the main appeal for me. No, but I think, you know, you grow up wanting to be a superhero and also a private detective. At least I did. I thought they were the coolest characters. So this is kind of quite, you know, cool private eyes, sarcastic and stuff, but this film has a lot of heart. And actually he's quite a vulnerable dude underneath all that, you know, all that sarcasm. He's quite a broken man in lots of ways. So I thought that was an interesting combination again, you know, that tough exterior when actually there's a lot of kind of heartbreak going on underneath the surface.
Do you think there's anything about the film that will surprise people? You know, it's not your typical noir, I guess. Like, it's got this sort of backstory.
Yeah, I think you know, with most classic noir films, it's a world without any morals, people without any scruples, willing to do anything. It's a cutthroat world. Whereas actually, this is a noir that is rooted in, that has the opposite starting point, where everyone's trying to just do the right thing as they see it. Everyone is acting out of their own sense of loss and heartbreak, and their own idea of like trying to better their lives. Do you know what I mean? And it just drives some people to do some crazy things, and some people make some terrible mistakes and they don't mean to. And so I think just the amount of warmth and heart it's got to it is really, it's about friendship and family and romance, you know, and whether you can still believe in romance, whether you can still connect with family, whether you can still believe in and trust your friends. It's about that as much as it's about, we live in a shady world and, you know, crazy stuff is going on. In a way, the two overlap, you know. Can you trust the world we live in, or can you trust the people around you? Either, or neither, or both.
You spent the past year, well, a lot of things that have come out recently, in American stuff like Girls, The OA, The Night Of. Is it important to you to keep doing sort of British or London roles?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's important to me, but it's also just interesting and exciting for me. It's not like a kind of like, yeah, it's an important thing, you should do it to kind of like, it's the right thing to do. It's like, no, I mean, we've got some amazing talent here. We tell interesting stories. I believe that Britain is one of the most exciting countries in the world. I think our culture, our kind of multicultural mix, our unique position in the world means that we'll always have exciting stories to tell. And if I can help tell those, then, you know, I'd love to. I'd love to be involved, to be honest. So it's not so much a case of like coming back and doing the right thing, doing a bit of community service or anything. Like, it's like, this is where I want to be working, you know. But
in your speech to Parliament, you mentioned this idea that you just have to go to America to get interesting roles. Is that true? Like,
well, often I think, historically, and you know, to some extent it's still true, or to probably too large an extent, it's still true that the stories we tend to tell are quite, they're period dramas, a lot of them. And they're kind of historical dramas that maybe don't engage with the reality of what the British population is really like today, what it looks like, you know. And I think that's a bit of a shame. Not just because it means that a lot of the kind of projects that could cast someone like me are in America, and so we lose actually a lot of talent I mean, forget about losing me, that's no great loss, but there's so many amazing actors that are forced to go over to the States to work because, you know, they can't play Lord Winthrop, you know, you know, they're not considered for those roles. So I think it's a shame because we miss out on talent. But I think there is a growing awareness that we're missing a trick here. We're sitting on some really exciting stories and we should tell them. The world's ready to hear them.
Would you ever think about starting up a production company making stories that you care about and not Lord Winthrop in the 1600s?
I want to play Lord Winthrop. That's my mission. In a way, I mean, because like, you know, our history even in this country has been really mixed up. Like I also said in my speech, you know, that our first border patrol was a legion of North African troops fighting for the Italian Roman army, trying to keep out the Scots from Hadrian's Wall. So even our anti-immigration movement has been really multicultural for thousands of years. So we've got a very mixed up history here. There's no reason why I shouldn't be playing Lord Winthrop. Riz Winthrop. That's my new tag, #Winthrop.
So I mentioned the OA and Girls earlier. What was it like working on those projects? Because they're both very exciting, very different things. What's it like working with Lena Dunham? With
Working with Lena was one of the most inspiring and hilarious things I've ever done in my life. She's a genius, yeah, and I love her, straight up. She's like writing, directing, producing and starring in something, improvising her lines totally fresh every take, and like you're trying to just stop yourself from laughing. And then between every take, giving you really sensitive, nuanced direction, just friendly with everyone. She's just a joy to work with and be around. And I hope she continues to make more and more film and television and theatre. I think she's a really valuable voice. Working on the OA was very different because obviously it's not like a kind of semi-improvised comedy situation. It was a very tightly crafted story, which was totally unique. And working with two very kind of intelligent, sensitive, cool people, you know. So they were very different, but I would work with either of those teams again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you had like an amazing year last year with all these different things coming out. Do you feel like you've had to fight really hard to get to this point, or is it sort of a case of like a long time coming?
I didn't ever think that I would... you know, the amount of work that I've had out in these last few months and the scale of them is kind of, wow, like I wasn't expecting that to happen. I don't think you can kind of try and be a creative person expecting success. I think you have to just like expect to be challenged and be ready to take on that challenge, you know. And has it been challenging? Yeah, it has, definitely. I feel like there has been a lot of hard work. There's been a lot of like kind of long periods of doubt, and you know the truth is there are no overnight successes. To be the extent where I wouldn't be sure that I would really necessarily call myself a success. I've been lucky to be a part of like some really successful films, but I kind of judge my success more on have I done the best I could possibly do. And have I kind of contributed something fresh? And sometimes yes, and sometimes no, you know.
Are you now at the stage where you can be very picky about what projects you pursue?
Well, kind of, I don't know, out of stupidity, I've always been picky. Yeah, I've just always felt like if I'm going to take time out of recording and gigging and, you know, doing music, which is an opportunity for me to just say exactly what I want immediately to people when they hear it on my terms in a way I want them to. If I'm going to step away from that opportunity, then it needs to be for something I care about and believe in and would stand by, just like I would stand by my own voice. You know, when I write a song. So I've always been a bit like, you know, picky about what I do for that reason. So that hasn't really changed as much. I guess there's just more stuff that comes my way now, and so it's more tempting to do it in a way, yeah.
I saw an interview where you said that you first got in touch with Chris Morris about Four Lions because he saw your 9/11 blues, post 9/11 blues.
Yeah.
Your politics has in some ways kind of made or helped your career. Has it ever hindered you getting a role or being outspoken, because you're very outspoken about a lot of things?
But you know, I don't see it as like my politics. It's just like me trying to be creative and talk about my personal experiences. I mean, that's what creativity is. That's what storytelling and art is about, right? You offer up your own subjective experience to people. My subjective experience has involved some like weird stuff that you sometimes see in the headlines. That's what I'm doing. And I think loads of people talk about their own experience, but because sometimes they're not like the subject of like news specials or kind of, you know, big exclamative headlines and like on tabloids, they're not seen as political. But really, I'm just trying to do me and tell my story. And you know, if it contributes something fresh, then cool. If people are interested in it, cool. If it's honest, then I'm happy with it. I'm not setting out. I'm not a politician. You know, honestly, it's like hard to be seen as anything other than a political artist if you are born into a certain body in a certain place and time. And I don't run from that. If you want to call me a political artist, cool, I'll take it as a compliment. But that's not the thought process in my head. I'm just trying to be honest to what I'm experiencing and sharing it with people in a way that I hope is a bit creative.
I wanted to ask about your involvement with Dead Set with Charlie Brooker. Would you ever consider working with him again on Black Mirror?
Yeah, I mean, Charlie and I have been speaking for a while about kind of, you know, working together on Black Mirror, and it didn't happen this time. But I think, you know, love to do it at some point. Yeah, I think what he's done with that show is amazing. And with Dead Set, you know, really proud to have been a part of that. So he's brilliant, you know, in every sense of the word.
To the real world Black Mirror, you shared a couple of poems after Trump was elected as president. One of them was quite despondent and one of them was a lot more positive. Is that kind of, are you feeling positive about the next 4 years?
I don't think it matters how we feel on one level. If we feel positive or negative. It matters about how you see the situation and what you think needs to be done. If you think if you think there's work that needs to be done to change the situation that we're living in and try and kind of pull us back from the brink of kind of conflict and division, then there's just work to be done. It doesn't matter if you feel good about yourself after going on a march. It doesn't matter if you feel depressed after watching the news. Like, are you doing the thing that needs to be done? That's it, really. I think that's the point we're at, you know?
So what's next for you in the next year or 2 years? What's your plan?
Well, I'm going to be, immediately after this, I'm going out to tour with the Sweatshop Boys. We're playing Coachella and in LA and New York, and we're releasing an EP, which is part of Record Store Day. So really glad to be kind of putting stuff out on vinyl and kind of supporting that, and to be supported by Record Store Day. Recording the next album while we're out there as well. So it's going to be a month of solid music, and then going into the summer and into next year, yeah, releasing the album, touring and doing a play, writing a TV show and filming 3 or 4 things.
Can I ask what any of those are?
You can ask, I just can't tell you.
All right. Well, good luck with it all.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.